Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Morning Coffee Review. It is the 2nd of May. Holy cow, the year's flying by. Sun is shining, birds are chirping. We're happy to be joining you all today. Thanks for joining us. It's great to have you all here, and it's good to see my buddy Michael again. How's it going today?
Good. I'm excited I get to see you in person. We have our annual one team conference. This is where we, as a company here at ATG, get to all get together. Almost 200 and something odd number.
Mhm.
We're flying out to Vegas this week, actually just tomorrow.
Mhm.
And then we get some learning. So the first day we'll do some learning meetings, and then you're giving me the stare.
I would,
Um,
we're doing lots of stuff. We're going to
and
do some.
then volunteering too as
Yep.
well, and team building, right? So the big thing is about building a stronger team, getting to meet
Mhm.
everybody since we are all over the United States, and we get to also learn some things. So I'm excited about it. We get to see each other in person. Jason and I haven't seen each other in a little bit.
Mhm.
I think the last time, it's been a while actually. So I'm excited to see
It's
him.
Christmas time. Yeah.
Yeah. And the rest of the group.
Yeah, so DJ CJ and Justin and all of our marketing team that makes MCR work, as well as our whole ATG family that supports us. So we're going to have a good time in Vegas, and hopefully we all live to tell the tale, and we'll be here next Tuesday. But today, our topic is controversial, right? So I do a lot of Bluebeam demos. I talk to a lot of folks about Bluebeam and Studio and Review and its core products. And working here at ATG, we are a Bluebeam Platinum partner, but that's not all we do. We are also an Autodesk Platinum partner, which means most of our customers are Autodesk users. And myself, I've been using Autodesk stuff for, 27 years now, 28 years. Holy cow. But a lot of our customers like, well, wait a minute. Aren't Bluebeam and Autodesk the same? Can't I just draw and review? Or do I need AutoCAD? And it's like, all right, hold up. Easy now. Yes, you can draw and review. Yes, you can print from Autodesk directly to Review. Yes, there's plugins here and there. So today we're going to be talking about what does CAD mean when we're talking about Review. Now, to further muddy the waters, back when there were perpetual licenses, there was a version called Review CAD. Now that has since gone by the wayside. Now we have subscription tiers that, and CAD's nowhere to be found. Still does the same things, still have the plugins, but what does it mean when we're talking about CAD with Review? So today we're going to draw, we're going to do some things. We're going to go back and forth between good old AutoCAD and Review to show some of the interactions and how they are similar, but also how they are different. Now, I see the RIP CAD. I know. We
I
won't talk about BIM. We won't talk about all that stuff. We're talking straight up line work, PDF plans, right?
Yeah, and this is what we started when we first came in today. Jason and I were talking because I was like, "What's the topic today?" And he said, drawing or using AutoCAD in what would you say specifically? Drawing
I don't.
and review. He said something, and I said, "Ooh, touchy subject." Because typically, when I am talking with a client, and they ask about review being a design tool, it is not meant to be a design tool within itself in terms of creating design sets. However, it's not what it was built upon. It can be used in that fashion if you decide to go in that route of 2D design sets. I actually did work with a couple of clients that primarily just use AutoCAD for that. By all means, review for that. But by all means, venture into that realm. It is a more efficient process to use your design tools, and review is part of that process of review, QA, QC, all of those items, quantity takeoffs. But to each their own, right? I'm not going to push someone into a different tool that they don't want to be in. I always just inform and let folks take that direction, but you can. So there's things that you can use in review. I actually just had a call, or I'm having a call because someone asked, can you do ISO drawings in review? And you can. There's ISO paper. So just being aware that there are things within review that you can use it for in that kind of loose term of design. Would you agree?
Absolutely. And we'll play with some of those ISO drawings today. So, now, David, I like your thing in there. Review is for drawing, like using crayons, where true CAD software is a sharp pencil. You know, that's not inaccurate, right? I like to say that you can do anything in Review that you can do on paper. So let's get out our French curves and our scales, and let's see if that's true. All right. You didn't think I was going to have props today, did you?
I didn't think so. That's
Caught you
why
with
I
the
laughed.
sneaky one. All right. Well, let's get on with this, shall we? So now I'm going to slow down. Make sure I'm going to share the proper screen. There we go. Now here's my review, but let's go to AutoCAD and let's further complicate the things. I'm using AutoCAD 2023 just because this one has my review in it already, whereas my my review 24 or my AutoCAD 24, again, you have to install them in a certain order, and I haven't gone around to it. So this is a sample drawing inside of AutoCAD 2023. It's a mechanical thing. So you should know that I'm going to make up a bunch of terms here, and I'm probably going to get things wrong if I'm talking mechanical, because I'm not a mechanical person at all. But that's okay. We're going to play with it. Now, a couple things I want to show you about this drawing. There are AutoCAD layers in here. I've got 56 layers in here. Now, we've done AutoCAD, or we've looked at layers inside of Review before, but it's been a while since we've shown you how to get AutoCAD layers into Review. So that's how we're going to segue and tie the room all back together, right?
Yeah, and I've messaged you this before because the add-in from Review doesn't directly allow you to print layers, which is confusing. But you have to do it from your print of AutoCAD.
Correct, which is kind of confusing and kind of annoying. Again, make a suggestion. Let's make this work. So what we're talking about is if I want to print to PDF from AutoCAD, right? Using the Bluebeam tools, I can go to the Output tab here on the ribbon, and I can go over here to Create PDF. Now, before we do that, we'll change our settings. And in here, we have file name, current tab. You know, we've got a bunch of settings in here, but there's nothing in here for layers. I could choose my SHX fonts. I can create my file. I've got, you know, there's nothing in here that's going to allow me to take my layers. And if I'm wrong, please let me know, because I've never seen it. And there's some other things in here, and it will do bookmarks, which is cool. But whenever
I haven't seen it either. I'm just
yeah,
would love to know if anyone has found it.
Whenever I'm in AutoCAD or Civil 3D and I'm printing PDF, I don't bother with these tools. Now, if I was doing 3D PDFs, sure, in AutoCAD. If I'm doing 3D in AutoCAD, that also means that I'm getting kidnapped, and you should call the authorities. Because I'd rather be using Fusion for that. But
yeah, I mean, like the plugin for Revit is usable, I would say, right? Because you get the ability to create 3D PDFs. You also get to, from an architectural standpoint, for those architectural folks, or even if you're just receiving an architectural model, you have the ability to print rooms so rooms are what they're called in Revit, and spaces is what they're called in Review.
Yes. So if you're in AutoCAD and you want to print to Review and you want to take advantage of layers. So let's go back. Let's while we're in here.
There's no plugin yet, Doug. That's good.
For
24.
Yeah, that's good to know too, Doug. Layers allow you to turn things on and off. So you can see when I toggle them off, some of these callouts are going away. I can change my color. I can freeze them. I've got control of if they can print. This is the backbone of using AutoCAD. It's like having a green pencil and a red pencil and a blue pencil. Each one is going to symbolize something else. So when I'm
unless
here,
you're really old school, well, sorry, seasoned,
and go line take weights.
Yeah, pen plot styles. Those are the good old days.
Yeah.
For those of us that didn't know, right, if we just do some education, back in the day, there was pen plot styles for the specific pen from the plotter to do line weights. And typically it was just the color association to the pen plot style that you're using in your plotter.
and the plotter actually had a pen. It would go grab the pen,
Yeah.
and oh yeah, nightmare fuel right there. Flashbacks. All right. So I hit the plot button here from my quick access toolbar in AutoCAD, and I'm going over here to choose my print plotter. Oh boy, I got a lot. Snag it. And Microsoft Print PDF and Bluebeam PDF and AutoCAD PDF. I've got all these settings. Now, the one you want is this guy down here, DWG to PDF. Why do we want this one? This one gives us a button that the other ones don't. So I'm going to go to Bluebeam PDF. See that? There's nothing here, but when I go to DWG to PDF, I get a button, PDF options. When I select PDF options, look at this, include layer information. This means it's going to incorporate that metadata of my drawing layers into that PDF as we go. Like, okay, Revu,
I know.
your move.
I
your
don't know
move.
why, especially because Review was founded upon as an exporter from your CAD environment, which was AutoCAD. Initially, back in 2002, they created a plugin that plotted vector enriched PDFs. Like that was their thing. Before they even came out with Review, they were an add-in. So that's why it boggles my mind that there's not a thing from Bluebeam in here to get your layers out.
What in the world is going on here? So this is metric drawing. So now I'm really out of my world. What paper size do I want for metric drawing?
I have no idea.
Oh boy. Metric people, look away. It's about to get ugly. AO is what you're saying? AO. AO, there we go. Maybe. Let's preview. Let's see. It doesn't have, that ain't gonna work. Now my window popped over here. I swear I've printed an AutoCAD before, by the way. This isn't my first time. It's just.
Why is it metric?
AO?
It's just out of the box.
Yeah. Yeah. This is out of the box metric. Where's my fit to paper option? I can't live without you. I was intentionally wanting that to make Brian cringe. I'm using layout. Is that what my difference is? There we go. Put the paper, send to the plot, get her done. There we go. That's close enough. We're playing horseshoes here. All right.
Sheldon, yeah, same. Back when I was in industry, one of my firms that I worked at before used pen plot style too. Even when they weren't plotting to a plotter anymore, that's still how they had their assignments and adopted layers. So fun stuff.
All right. There we go. Layer information. Good. Fit to paper. Now, I could set this to scale, make it proper, but again, we're going to go into review and we're going to calibrate it. So this is all intentional, by the way, totally. So, wait, Bruce saying use C in metric. Fine. I don't have a C in metric. Arch, ANSI.
That's still inches though.
And it's close enough.
I would just print it.
Print it. We'll do it live. All right, we're gonna hit OK.
This is one of those things where I know there's a lot of controversy when folks talk about putting a scale on PDFs just because there's a lot of liability. If you're saying the set scale is this, but at any point it could have been printed incorrectly. The writers could have been printed incorrectly. I mean, Revu even has a known issue. I think it's an arc. It's a 24 by, I forget which size, but it's off by like 0.0001. And that's directly from Autodesk plotting. So, and there's nothing you do. You change your paper exporter, PDF exporter all day and it won't change it. It's still compounding. Just, the liability of having a scale. That's always a questionable offense, I would say. So I think the best would be to have a specific known dimension from where you're at or scale bar.
Yep. Scale bars they've been a part of drafting practices for over 100 years. So why did we stop? So there's that.
Because folks thought it was more meant for actually having your scale
Mhm.
and then having your table to measure it from. So I still think it's valuable here to calibrate and review, but
Exactly.
your own.
But we'll get a little off the CAD side a little bit. If you would like to learn more about CAD stuff, especially civil CAD, by golly, it's the first Tuesday of the month, which means there's a civil chat that Brian Haley hosts. So check the chat. Brian, go ahead and put your little magic link in there and join him later on today. And you got Brian Mackey joining you as well. It's always a good old time. So hop on over there. I think I'll make some time and join you today as well. All right. So I'm in here, review. I have my PDF. Let's take a look at it. So the first thing we notice is the scale is not set, right? The scale does not, that's not part of that embedded metadata, because we did print from AutoCAD. We did set a scale, even though it was, sketch, set the sketch to scale. What am I losing my mind here? Scale it anyway. That doesn't come over. So I need to go set my scale. Now, as Michael said, we've got no scale bar.
Greg, if you have a question, feel free to use the chat or the Q&A area. Even if it's not for the topic, this is all about you and the community. So if you have a question that's lingering or aching to be answered from Jason or myself or the community, because you were all smarter than Jason and myself in review, please ask. That's what we're here for too. See, there's no scale bar here.
Scale's one equals 100 though. So there is a scale, but there's no scale bar. So I have no reference. Now in this drawing, I do see that I have dimensions that are metric that I could calibrate to. This one, check on site. That's not a good one, right? I want to go check a couple different ones to make sure this works. Now, one thing to mention, this is a metric drawing, and I've never done metric stuff in review. So this will be interesting. All right.
That's why I'm surprised you picked a metric.
I'm just experimenting today. We're doing something different. We're branching out. It's May, we're blooming into new things. There we go.
It's way past bloom season. It's like,
not here, man. Not here.
Okay. Maybe, what is it?
Is there a metric setting in here? Units?
All I know is it reached 100 this last weekend. So,
oh boy, it hasn't even hit 60 here yet.
Yeah.
So there's that. All right, let's get on with it. So I'm going to calibrate. And when I'm calibrating, I want to choose the longest distance that I can to make it a little bit more accurate. So I'm going to go after this 16,830. It doesn't say check on site like that one does. So I'm going to calibrate to this one, and then I'm going to go check a couple different ones and see if it works, right? So when I go to apply scale to pages, so bottom right corner.
How else can you apply scale?
Voodoo magic. Does it really say that, Alex? It says do not scale. Oh, verify all dimensions prior to construction, do not scale. I see what you're saying there, Alex, but I saw nothing. All right. Like that, we'll just erase it. We're playing around here. We're playing around. All right. Rabbit hole. Keep me on track. So I'm going to go to custom and I'm going to go to calibrate. It's going to say select 2 points of known dimension to calibrate measurement tools. Now, never turn this off. I wish this was not a thing, because you should always be aware that you need to do this. And I'm going to snap. What?
I mean, if you're at the point where for us, it makes sense. But if I was in the software all day, I wouldn't want to see that UI.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. So this is where things get weird, because this thinks I'm in millimeters. That's actually.
So what Artley just did is he picked 1 point from the left, 1 point to the right. Now, okay. And
then it went away. Let me do it again.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that's the actual measurement on the page. The other, just go to your measurements panel on the right.
Oh, my Zoom window is blocking me.
So that's the measurements on the page, is the one on the left, but it actually is that measurement. So basically the paper space, this actual measurement on the paper from end to end is that. And to the right is what the actual measurement is. just
Yeah.
so you're all looking at what that is. The other dot next to custom to the left, there is a preset. Preset would be for a preset dimension on the page that was printed at scale. Again, now that I'm getting more and more into this, right? I'm always like, yeah, of course it's printed to scale. Well, that's because I printed it, but we're not always in control of receiving PDFs. So I would just, again, be hyper aware of what we're using to scale our PDFs, get accurate measurements from, and the, how, I guess, who's liable, right? I mean, that's always going to be the question. Just things to be concerned about.
Yep. And there was a question in the chat, we're crossing wires here. I like that term, Alex. I'm going inches to millimeters. Now, 1 inch equals 25.4 millimeters. That math is pretty sound. That's all that Revu's doing, is doing that math for me, that 1 times 25.4 or whatever, if I was going to centimeters.
Well, we can see.
But even if there is a small rounding error, that's not going to happen on a 36-inch page, right? We're talking, we would need a 36-mile long page for there to be any sort of thing like that. Again, coming from civil and the whole world of US survey feet versus international feet, you could be careful or be crazy with that. But here, when we're talking about paper, small amounts, that doing that math is pretty sound. So,
but what if it is more of a building? Would that be an issue where it's not as vast of an area?
Probably not. Let's find out. All right. So I set the drawing scale to 109.8 millimeters equals 16,830.
Before we do that, we need to make an awareness here that for some reason, when you printed this from AutoCAD, it came in with viewports. So in the bottom right, there's these untitled viewports here.
Mm-hmm.
That's weird.
That is weird. Yeah. But they're all.
So that came with AutoCAD.
Yeah. Let's just get rid of those. Clear all from document.
I wonder why.
Maybe we'll talk about viewports while we're in here, because that is a CAD term that does get confused. So we got the time. All right. So yeah, as Doug says, if you're trying to be more accurate than 1/10 of a millimeter, you're trying too hard. Yes, correct. All right. So back on track. I calibrated to this 16,830. Now, remember, this PDF is not to scale. We did it intentionally not to scale from AutoCAD. And we're trying to deal with this now that we have it in a PDF format. We don't have that scale bar to reference, so we calibrated to a known dimension. And I always recommend choose a long one. Once it's calibrated, go in first thing and check that length and make sure that matches. Now, again, my units are all goofy, but that's okay, right? Because one of the cool things that we did inside of Revu 20, when that came out, was give you the ability, or 20.1 was to give you that additional measurement capability. So now we can go in here and see.
So there's obviously a rounding issue.
Well, it's not really a rounding issue.
No, it's not.
Right? That is weird. Because I set my precision. That should not be that. Okay. So Alex says, guessing the error came from switching your units on the set dimension. That's all right. Let's figure this out, right? This is a problem that you may encounter. So let's figure that out. That's what we do here at MCR. All right.
It may have been your snap points from your calibration too.
Could be.
I would
calibrate again.
I wouldn't click where the arrows are. I would click where the line is, line to line.
Okay. So I'm calibrating again, and we're going to go from the endpoint of that line to the endpoint of that line. And it kept that same 16,830. And we'll go ahead and hit apply scale. Now let's go in and measure again. So I'm going to choose the same exact points that I calibrated from. Same dimension. Interesting. So this is telling me, there we go. We're good. We're good now. So I'm guessing what happened was that when I calibrated, I clicked from the arrows, and I can Let me get rid of
Not a
this.
fan of snapping the multiple things. That just comes from the
Yeah.
topic that we had the other day.
Oh, see, look at that.
Yeah.
That's not right. So there we go.
Hector had a question. Is there a way to embed fonts in Bluebeam so when others view the PDF file, all the symbols show correct?
I don't know about embed, but putting my CAD manager hat on from years gone by, I always use a true type font or a Windows font or something common. Because when you have these weird fonts, you're just going to get errors when you send your CAD files out anyway. Same thing could happen with your review PDFs. But there was an option there in AutoCAD to add your SHX fonts, your shapefile fonts. But maybe we'll go back and test that if we get time. But
I know review goes off your Windows-based fonts, so your
yes.
true type fonts.
So what I did, I calibrated, I checked that dimension. Going that way, I want to go check this one as well. So I'm going to come over here, drop in a line. Now, again, if we're just getting close enough, that's fine. But I don't like that. This is a sloppy drawing. We're determining.
Why don't we
already.
just turn the rounding up?
Turn off the precision.
Yeah.
There we go. What's that we're saying about crayons and sharp pencils and all that?
I mean, if you were drawing at scale, it would work. This is just you measuring things from a known dimension, which obviously we're seeing the issues of it.
Yeah. The drawing told us straight up, don't scale. There's issues there. But we're going to call this, close enough for what we needed to do.
Hey, Jason, what would be the easiest way to not have to keep hitting millimeters on your dimension each time?
What would be the easiest way to do that without doing that?
Saving it to our tool set.
Oh, there we go. Because, okay, let's go do this. So what I'm doing is I keep using the same length tool. And then I come over here and I set length to feet, from feet and inches down to millimeter, right? Now, the next time I go place a dimension, it's still going to default back to inches, right? So if I come in here and I actually save that setting, go to my tool chest, my recent tools is going to have that length measurement that should already be set up for millimeters. There we go. So if I wanted to set that up, have my millimeter one, I can just drag that down and keep using that tool instead of doing the extra clicks.
Yeah, I bet Doug has a bunch of them since he works in imperial and metric back and forth.
Yep.
In the measure, okay, that's a question, David. In the measurement menu, when you are setting scale, what does a precision value of 1 mean versus 1 inch, 1 foot, 1 mile? That's just the precision of rounding. So the precision is what will it round to, and it changes per the dimension type as
decimal places.
Yeah, this is millimeters, so it's decimal places.
Yeah.
Going back full circle, viewports. So you do have the ability to add viewports here. So Jason scaled the overall page. If he wanted to, you could create you can create as many scales as you want. But you just hit the plus button down there. It allows you to do the same type of calibration scale setting in a designated area. Essentially, you're just picking the area that you want the scale to abide by.
Correct. So let's go back to AutoCAD. AutoCAD viewports, if we want to go back. So in AutoCAD, you have model space. We'll try not to get too deep into CAD here, but you have model space. This is where you're going to draw your entire drawing, put all your stuff together, and then you're going to manage those through viewports. And the viewport is what actually sets it to scale to get it to a paper size. And on here, we see that we have 2 different viewports, and I can activate those and click inside there to see down into my model space, right? So when we printed, those viewports came over into Revu, but when they came over, they were untitled and they were unscaled. These viewports should definitely have a scale associated with them. So if I go to my properties, I've got too many windows. Hang on. It's coming. I have a standard scale, so it's already set at 1 in 100 was what it should have been, right? So now when I go back to review, I had those scales, I can add them back. And with that viewport, I can associate a different scale from what I've got here already, my calibrated garbage scale. So if I come in here and I'm going to add one, I'm going to select that region. So let's say down in this area, let's say this is a different scale, or actually this is supposed to be 1 inch equals 100 or 1 to 100, right? I can set that up and hit OK. It is going to highlight when I get in there. There we go. So 1 centimeter equals 1 meter. I can go in here, I can further adjust my scale there, and I can go in there and apply that. So now when I jump in this area, and we've tested this before when we're inserting images to scale or symbols to scale, but I'll go in here and I will place a length measurement. Oh, no, I won't. I'm going to go use this length measurement, and I'll just grab anything. And we can see it's going to be kind of special. So viewports, I don't mess with them a whole lot, but then again, I usually print properly from Civil 3D and don't have to deal with this stuff.
Yeah, viewports typically from building design perspective, there's details, there's different views on sheets, so that may require different scales. So it's good to have that ability. Also, when you're placing just custom tool sets that scale, right, and you have 2 different scales on each page, you're going to on the same page, you're just going to want to be able to do that.
Correct. Now, one of the things we didn't check is that when we came into review, we didn't go look at our layers, and there we go. So I clicked on the layer panel on the left, and there are all of the same layers that we had from AutoCAD, but when we have the ability to turn them on and off, right, by clicking on the little eyeball thing. We don't have the ability to change their color. We don't have the ability to freeze as you can. Well, I guess you can with lock. It's close to freeze. That's a whole other story. But in here, I can toggle things accordingly. Sorry, my cat's going nuts. And then I can go in here and make the adjustments that I need to make. So if I didn't want to see those dimensions, right? If I didn't want to see certain values like that crossing out or that demolition or whatever that's supposed to be, I can remove that. So this is a good thing and a bad thing, right? Remember, if I'm printing to paper, I don't want somebody to go erase things that I've made. And if I'm printing to a PDF with my layers enabled, someone can erase things, right? If they turn off those X's that we see there, right? Let me zoom in a little bit. If I turn off those and then reprint it, I've totally sort of changed the idea of that finished drawing. So be careful with this. I showed you how to add the layers to the PDF, but sometimes you might not want to do that. All right. So be careful. Depends on who you're sending it to. If I'm a drafter or designer and I'm sending it to someone else in my firm to review, they might want to make sure that, hey, you're drew on the right layer, right? So from the CAD management standpoint, I like that. From the the engineer integrity part, I don't know. So yeah. And Brian, great point with viewports. If this were a civil drawing, and you've got a plan and profile, normally profile drawings have a separate scale on the y-axis, right? And review does give you that capability to separate the y scale. So I could have a viewport that was 1 inch equals 20 feet from my plan view, and then my profile view could be 1 inch equals 20 feet horizontally, but vertically there could be an exaggeration, as there often is, that would allow me to still scale that properly. So cool stuff. All right.
Greg, you keep raising your hand. If you have a question, feel free to use the chat or the question answer.
Yeah, there we go.
Or maybe you're saying you like the specific things that he's talking about. Either one.
Yeah, let me get caught up here on the chat. All right, Danny, when printing from AutoCAD to Bluebeam, how do I get rid of the AutoCAD SHX that shows up in the markup list?
You can flatten. Yeah. It's
So
just the type font. It's trying to understand it. So
yeah.
typically what I would go through is flatten it.
So this is what's happening, right? I didn't make this markup, but there are certain aspects of this drawing that came over, and it's even hard to select. I just had it. That's weird.
Is that the only way? That's the only way that I'm aware of. Maybe someone from the group here may have a different way to get rid of them, because they're essentially noticed as a markup is what they are. So from here, flattening would be my recommendation. I don't know if anyone else from the community has any other experience with this.
Yeah. So what this is doing is in AutoCAD,
yeah, everyone
right?
says flatten.
Yeah. These this font is not a true type font, right? This is Roman S, I'm guessing. Oh, standard font. Hold
up. Craig, I haven't had an issue with the Bluebeam writer. Again, Bluebeams, before they became or created Revu, they were specific to the only writer in town that was out of the Microsoft realm.
Correct.
Or a plugin. So I don't know. There might be what print settings you're having issues with, Craig. The reason why Jason decided to go DWG to what was it, PC3? It's the .pc3 file. PC3 file is because he wanted the layers, and Bluebeam doesn't have a layer exporter. Neither does Acrobat. It's specific to AutoCAD, which is the DWG to PC3. It's DWG to PDF.pc3. To get your layers to come out is the reason why we're going this workflow.
Yep. And in this,
stop using SHX fonts.
Yes.
Gosh.
So that was the problem.
Let's just hit the nail on the head here right now. Like, just stop using fonts that you like that aren't read by all other firms, which is Windows-based programs for printing. Correct. I think that's the, what do they call it when you the thing? I don't know. I was looking for some analogy, but
okay. But what happened? When I went to my PDF land, right? I've got all these SHX fonts, and the question is, how do I get rid of them? Well, obviously the best way to do it is stop using them, because if we go back to AutoCAD, right, all these fonts are using the standard font, which is using an SHX file. Now, when I pull this down, there's a different icon here on the left. It's hard to see when I have it highlighted, but you have that AutoCAD looks like some calipers with an A, that's SHX, and then we see the TT for TrueType. These are all Windows fonts, meaning anybody who's going to view this with Windows shouldn't have any errors. And this is where again, CAD manager hat on, set your CAD standards to use TrueType fonts. Because what's going to happen is if you send your drawing out to somebody who doesn't have your weird ISO whatever, and even if I've got a lot of Esri products installed, so some of these you're not going to have either. So that's not always the case, right? Wow, I got a lot.
I would just use one that Windows has natively, right?
Yes.
Go to your Windows file, go pick out from there whatever cute font you want. Arial, and then
always.
just because everyone's going to have the same Windows, right? You don't want to have to send a file that has, I've been there, done it, just a lot of extra work. And then people are like, why isn't it seeing the same type of text? Well, if we would have just used the same text font at the beginning, it would have all been good.
Yep.
We're not hand drafting anymore.
So that's why we got the SHX files in the first place, right? So when we come back over to Revu and we want to fix that, we're just going to go ahead and flatten the sucker. So document, flatten. I'm not even going to allow unflattening. I'm going to flatten this. And now when I go to my markups list, it's going to be blank. And it's going to assume that all those fonts are there.
And you can still see the layer association here as well. So the layers don't go away, which is great. Does the line work still go away? Can you turn them off? Hold on, turn some of them off.
Yeah.
Oh, it's still good. Okay.
Yeah.
I was worried. But what happened was that Revu is trying to interpret the font style for it, that would then come into you editing the font. So that's why it was trying to interpret the SHX file for the specific font, so that when you go and edit, which would then lead back into, if it wasn't a true type font, I bet you Jason can't edit some of these texts too. So that's going to come into full circle. I have a
Good.
PDF that won't let me, because
Yep.
see. So again, full circle. If we would have used the font that Revu knew, which is Windows based fonts, then we can edit text. But since we can't,
got a little funky there. So again, those SHX fonts, they had their place many moons ago. We've moved.
Yeah, you can
on.
run the OCR right now and see, but I have a file that has the same thing. So as you run OCR in the background, Jason, on this one, I'll just quickly share mine. But basically, I had the same issue where we used to use back in industry SHX file. That's where my complaints come from. That's why I'm so big on not using these file types. But as you go through, I think it was this sheet. Maybe it was a different one. But as I go through and try to edit some of these, it won't let me edit the type of font that it is. So it's like, well, where is this font? I can't find it. I can still select it. I can see that it's in here, right? Yeah. So to each their own.
That's an interesting one. All right. Yeah. Arial narrow is the answer. All right. Let me get caught up here on the old chatty thingy. So going back here, we're talking about using OCR. Now,
you don't have it?
I don't have it. I didn't install OCR. I've got separate big install. I didn't do it. And I don't really have a good reason for not doing it. But let's talk about this. So when we first started talking this morning about the versions of Revu, right? There was a Revu standard, there was Revu CAD, there was Revu Extreme. And you had to have Revu Extreme in order to get the OCR function. That's no longer the case. The OCR function is included with Basic now. However, it is kind of a separate install, and it's like it's almost as big as Revu is. It's like a gig.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's pretty massive. But what that will do will allow you to get that optical character recognition, where it will run and say, hey, I know this is an R. But if you look close, it kind of looks like garbage, right? So it will figure that out for you.
Yeah, I wonder if you'll be able to edit it after too.
Yeah, we'll see. I picked a really weird drawing, so thanks for sticking with me and playing imagination, because I don't open this drawing. Now, with that said, there was some mention in the chat that AutoCAD 2024 has some new SHX capabilities. I didn't use 2024 today because there's no Revu plugin for it, right? And I wanted to highlight that plugin. So I'll maybe go test that later on today.
And let's be aware of the compounding issue of using SHX file fonts, right? Because you have this PDF issue. We also have an issue when you go into Revit. So think about the design teams, because we're all one team, right? As we're building a design, what issues other people will have down the road from printing and plotting from your specific font file type that you like. So I think it's just, a ripple effect, downstream effect we all should think about for everyone else that has issues. Because you may have gotten it printed out the one time the way you've wanted it to print out, but what about other people receiving your DWG and trying to print and plot those? It's just being aware. There was another thing in here saying that Bob had something. If you have an HP page-wide plotter, try using HP Smart Stream to send PDFs to the other plotter. Equals life-changing. Perfect. Arial narrow is the answer, Alex. Probably should make the conversion to true type fonts, but okay, yeah.
We got a lot of you guys are chatting today, and I love it. Thanks for playing along here. So yeah, OCR, you want to have it. It's the good stuff. It will make your life easier. So There was a question in there. I got to scroll up to find it. Can you still use the find command after flattening? If you had OCR set up, you absolutely can. Now, since I
And
did not run OCR, I cannot search for text.
yeah, well, let's see if you can grab the text. Just go to the your A with the button down there at the bottom.
Oh yeah, this guy.
Yeah, let's see if we can grab text. No, okay. So
Nothing.
since it's because it was a markup flattened.
Mhm.
Oh,
Yep.
wah. Okay, yeah. So you would have to run the optical character recognition, which is included in every tier. So if you move into review the new subscription based model, everyone gets it like Jason was talking about earlier, which is great. Is it be able to find it?
Oh, that's kind of fun.
Um, optical character recognition would be able to texturize the text, I guess, more of a vector based. But I think if it is an SHX file, I still think, just like my other file that I just showed, you may not be able to edit it, but you can test it if it picks up the SHX. And I guess that would be does your Windows, because the review points to your Windows file for your text types, is that what it's using? So just being aware.
All right. So Brian put in the chat, if you're using AutoCAD 2024, there is a system variable for PDF SHX. So PDF SHX, set that to 2, and that will allow you to search for text and nothing will show up in the markups list. Brian just tested it. Thanks for that, Brian. And we'll have to do that. So once that review plugin comes, actually I don't need it, right? Because if I open up
Nice.
AutoCAD 2024 and use the same driver I did today, we can do that. But we got about 10 minutes left, so I want to get back to on
Because we
track.
haven't drawn
Yeah,
anything.
I know.
We
Look at
went
that.
down
I'm getting my
the text rabbit hole,
yeah,
and
scary.
scaling. So
Scary, right? So let's get back to talking about using Review as CAD. Now, can it do drawing things? Sure, right? The best way that I've seen people utilize this is getting our symbology set up and getting your tool set up accordingly, right?
and we have past videos. So even
Yep.
though I got on my soapbox here and complained about SHX files because I'm tired of them, but be aware there are past videos on how to create custom markups and save them in your tool sets and create custom tools. Just so we're all, wow. Oh, is it because I was like, why'd that come? It's because, yeah, there you go. Remember last time I had you turn it off? It's probably still set that way. Yeah.
Yep. So with that, if I want to draw this little valve assembly thing, again, not a mechanical guy, I'm going to throw out some bad terms. I can go snapshot that and then have that tool and then add it to my collection of tools. So if I want to add it to my, okay, I'm just going to put it there. I won't throw it in the junk drawer.
And I don't see any downside to doing this versus hand drawing. I see more upside to doing a snapshot versus a hand drawing.
Bingo.
But to each their own on how they want to create their own markups.
So if I wanted to go change the color of this, right? If I'm doing a red line, I don't want that to be red. I want it to be, let's not do cyan. Let's do pink, magenta, right? So now that's a better markup than me just drawing something in with pencil, right? This tells the person doing the changes what they've got in there. Now, yes, you can't.
I get it. Yeah,
with snapshots.
Yeah, okay. I guess it would come down to the tool, right, Alex? So, what tool you're trying to create? Does it need to be edited, or is it more of a symbol, right? Yeah,
right. So like for editing, let's say I wanted this valve assembly here, but I didn't want this valve assembly in here. I could easily go in here, erase that out and then do a snapshot. I could probably just make a cleaner drawing from CAD, right?
Yeah.
Let's go snapshot this guy though.
But be aware, you can also start to go through and draw a layout if you wanted to. I know a couple of folks that just do their details in Review. They have a bunch of standard symbols, then they just finish it off with some lines that they have already pre-created. So just being aware that it can be used as I don't want to say it because I always say it's not meant to be a design tool, but Jason can say that it could be a design tool versus me.
Well,
Um, in that
so
perspective.
I'm going to put my Civil 3D CAD manager hat on here again. And there are times where I've seen people, they usually have PE after their name. Not poking fun at you, Brian. I want immunity after this. So what happens is sometimes civil engineers get into drawings and they haven't touched Civil 3D in a long time. And they get in there and they start looking around and they could break things. Or maybe it's a designer, maybe it's somebody you don't trust touching Civil 3D, right? Every firm has one. If you don't know who it is, it's probably you. This is an intervention, by the way. But Civil 3D drawings and even Revit models are getting more complex. It becomes easier for you to break something if you don't know what you're doing in there. So Review is a good tool, right? Maybe we can take away their Civil 3D and give them a nice PDF that they can interact with. They can go do the things that they want to do without paper. And not only does it save you the cost of licensure, it gives your drawings better integrity, right? I know I've spent multiple weekends fixing things that other people broke. So I'm a little bitter if in case I didn't make that crystal clear. So yeah, training is the answer, of course. And if you need training,
But
I know
yeah,
a guy.
that kind of comes full circle, right? If
Mhm.
I've been in this situation where, yeah, actually it's the same, except, it's an SE. So professional engineer, but on the structural world, modifying the PDF just because it needed to get out the door, but not reiterating it to the design team.
Mhm.
So just being aware that if you do make changes in here, it should reflect in the model, or in the CAD environment. If you
Mhm.
are just designing in here because this is the route you want to go, by all means, right? You're not reflecting anywhere but in here. Just be aware for folks that didn't know, there is an ability to see what was created in the design world and what wasn't. And that's the way the lines end. So if you ever look at a line that's been created in Review, it is square. If you ever looked at a line created in a design environment, it is round.
Mhm.
And I can share my screen for that.
Yeah, I can show you that here
Oh,
too.
sorry.
Oh,
As too
fine.
quick. I'm sorry. Here, you're back. You're back.
He's
I was
fast.
already clicking. You know
He's
me.
fast. He's quick today. All right, this is what we're talking about. So here inside of Review, this is a line that was generated from CAD, and we see the end of it. It's kind of pill-shaped and angular. If I come up here and I draw a line inside of Review, it's square, right?
Yeah.
So easy way to tell where those lines were generated. Now, does that work when we take it back to CAD? We're about to find out. So another question that comes up frequently, and I'm just going to try to talk my way and do this at the same time.
Stop, Alex.
Yeah, the question that comes up is how okay, if I'm making these changes in Review, how do I get these back to CAD? Is this updating the CAD at the same time? No, that would be cool, but it would also be dangerous, and we don't want to do that. So how do we get this information back to CAD? Well, ideally, we're talking about the redline workflow. We weren't able to take the paper and put that back in CAD too. Someone has to manually go verify things, and we still want that process, right? I know I've been given red lines a lot of times in my career. And it's like, is this really what you meant? Because this doesn't seem right. And then the engineer will be like, oh yeah, you're right. I missed a decimal spot, or I fat fingered it, or let's do something else here, right? Having that extra set of eyes on there is an important part of the design process, I feel. Soapbox, all that other stuff. But also, how do I get this back to CAD? Well, this is a PDF file. I'm going to save this PDF. And we're going to go back to AutoCAD. Now, I do have the capability to come in here and bring in that PDF file, right? I can, what is it? PDF import, select a PDF underlay or file. I'll go to file, go to my desktop where I named it something perfect, and I can drop this in. Now, when I do this, not only will the window appear on the other screen so I can't see it, it's going to be a little funky, right? insertion. It's not going to be geolocated. It's not going to do things right. It's going to give me a couple different capabilities. Now in here, I have the ability to choose, do I want to import it as a block, or do I want to just import it as a bunch of different funky stuff, right? Lines and things. And this is going to turn out pretty gross, I'm guessing. But look, it can bring in the PDF layers. So actually, let's do that. Hang on. Bear with me here.
Brian, I've never played with the STB files, but typically just from most design sets that haven't been manipulated, like Alex has done for his rebar, or like specific STBs, you can tell the difference between, because you can flatten the markups, right? And then say, hey, this was in the design set, why wasn't it reflected or something? Or why did you delete it or something, right? You would be able to initially tell if nothing was manipulated. In terms of line ends, you could tell what was created in Revu and what wasn't.
Correct. Now I clicked and there we go. Our CAD file is back into Revu. Now, notice anything? For one, I did not flatten
Is this
that
a PDF?
document. This is all the line work that came from the PDF.
No, I didn't know you do that.
Yeah. AutoCAD tricks, baby. So what happened was I took my PDF, I saved it. I did not flatten it. So this little valve assembly thing that I put in there does not appear back in CAD, right? What happens if I flatten it?
Yeah. What if you flatten just that markup, not flatten that thing?
I'm gonna flatten the whole thing because we're going to go fast. We're running out of time here.
I wonder, because I'm wondering if you did draw things, would it be able to be interpreted by AutoCAD as it?
That's what we're trying to do here. PDF import. Thank you. Spell check. File. Going super fast here.
But did you drew a small line?
I did draw a small line, and I inserted that valve thing. Oh, there we go. We see it here in the preview.
Okay.
Preview. Yeah. And drop it in. Totally wrong base point. Again, going quick. I've broken a lot of my own CAD rules today, and I feel bad. So there's that. But look at this. That showed up back in CAD.
Can you click it? Oh yeah, my god.
That's all line work. So
what about that line that you created?
Right here.
You remember where it is?
It's right here. That's it. So yes, I can take it back. But
so if you wanted to create a detail and bring it into AutoCAD, then you can bring that AutoCAD file into Revit.
Yes.
Whoa, workflow.
Yeah. So we did some crazy stuff here today. I didn't show you the sketch to scale. We didn't look at drawing lines straight or any of that other stuff. We're still kind of opening up that conversation about Revu and CAD, and we will have to expand upon this, and we'll do that in a future episode. And we've done the sketch to scale stuff before, but this topic I know we've never shown before, and I'm glad we're able to get that covered today. So there's some interesting things going on. Before we leave, last thing to note, going back to the end of the line types, we're not going to really see that thickness there.
That's smart, Alex.
We're not going to see that square round thing.
No, that was just for review. So like if you're looking at the PDF, that was my tidbit there. I went on a soapbox about the SHX file. Sorry, everyone. Sorry for got a little too into it. Just something that's always, an issue, I feel like, when printing portable document formats, which is part of, it is the BIM process. It's part of our process of this workflow. So just being aware of what the ripple effect is of choice making of text files, which there's a lot of things that can be improved in workflows, but we got to start somewhere. So,
yep. So there we go. Hopefully this was informative for you. We went all over the place, but it's a important thing to discover, figure out which workflows works best for your firm, and we'll go from there. Next week we got a whole different topic, and in the meantime, I'll see you in a few hours over at Brian's Civil Chat, because it is the first Tuesday of the month. Otherwise, we'll see you all next Tuesday. And Michael, I will see you tomorrow in Las Vegas.
See you tomorrow. See you, everyone. We'll bring some prizes back and give them away from Vegas. So have a good one.
See y'all.
Yep.